What up, everybody? Welcome to Animation Study Buddies, the show where we take a look at cartoons through the lens of industry professionals. I'm your host, Wade. I'm a professional storyboard artist, and I'm here with my buddy, Wayne Carlisi from One-on-One Animation. What up, Wayne?
Hi, Wade.
I do want to say what we're going to look at today, and what we're going to look at is camera moves. And can the camera say something about whatever it is that we're working on? I don't know if that's a good explanation.
And it does. Let's dive into it and we'll see.
Sounds good, dude. So when you're saying tempo, like what is because I can kind of see what you mean and I kind of feel what you mean, but it's kind of hard for me to articulate. Like, do you maybe have like any good definition for that? Or
tempo, like what I mean is like music, you know, da 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 down, down 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 down. You know, different tempo, even in a 4-beat. You got that different tempo, and that's what I see when I watch this. To where, if you look at the very early films, everything is pretty much the same tempo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything kind of moves in. Like I said, what I would have done logically is just had them. I would have gone there, and then I would have had them run off here, jump down, then light the camera. But that would have kept the tempo, I think, at a much more boring pace than just having them cut. And also, where to get the match? He just happens to have the match on.
It's one of those you just pull it from off screen sort of things.
I remember when I was a kid and I would look at it and I would see this always with especially the Roadrunner movies. I'd be critical, thinking, well, I don't quite get it. Why does the coyote have all this money to buy all this equipment? But it didn't matter. Even though I knew it wasn't logical, and my brothers and I would all say the same thing, we were still laughing our butts off watching the thing. So they knew what they were doing.
Well, and I think that's kind of a point. That it seems a little bit like an older style film language in a sense, I think now. And I don't know if that's due, because we talked in this series a little bit about like the older cameras and setups and how that worked. But I feel like had this happened now, there would have been, to keep in that same like that tempo, the quick pace, there would have been a quick camera move with it, like almost like a whip pan.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that would have really been something that would have been in the vocabulary at the time that this was shot, you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't know either. I think this is definitely funnier, you know, doing this quick cut like that.
Yeah, I think that there's kind of what we're seeing here is like an evolution or like an earlier kind of stage. Like we've since kind of evolved out of this, where the camera does take a more, nowadays the camera is going to have more impact. But I don't think it's just limited to this, you know. I was telling, like a few weeks ago, you know, me and Derek, we went through and we watched Yojimbo. And have you ever seen that movie?
No.
It's so good. But one of the things that I thought, like just big kind of realization throughout it, is the camera is actually like comedic in a sense. And the way that he's Kurosawa is choosing those shots, it's reinforcing our view of the main characters which I thought was really, really interesting, or main character in this point. So it's like, I think his name's Sanjuro, and so he's a Ronin samurai, and he takes a very, like, all of the serious stuff is going on around him. Like there's like hostage situations and stuff like that. But his tone is like, he takes it very lightly, and it's reflected in the camera. So
how's that?
I don't know. It's really hard to describe, especially with it not on the screen. But just visually, it reinforces the idea that it's from his perspective, and so it's very subtle. It's like it's a very nuanced thing. I think that's one of the reasons why Kurosawa is such a master at just direction in general. But the point that I have in just bringing it up is that, so it's not something I think that would be new or foreign for the time, because this is, there's a good chance this is probably around the same era as when that flick came out. I just think that the technology might have something to do with how that's like vocalized or shown.
Do you think that it's a curse, or do you?
I don't think it's a curse. I think it's really fascinating, because you have all of these different like languages that are getting kind of developed out of the different limitations, and I think we see that evolution that happens if you look at like modern shows. I know, like, that this isn't to say that in Yojimbo they did a bunch of like whip hands or anything like that, but the analogy is that I'm kind of seeing is that the way Kurosawa used the camera to set the tone is what we're seeing now in direction, and that is, I think, related to the technology of being able to make cartoons now versus the technology that whenever we're looking at this Buccaneer Bunny.
Right. I follow what you mean. Yes, I see what you mean. Did you ever see a movie called Das Boot? It was a German movie.
I didn't.
Okay. It was the first time I had seen I think they call it Steadicam.
Yeah.
And it's a really good movie. It's really intense. And they used the camera going through the submarine, through these little portholes that the men had to jump through to get to the next room, or going down in the submarine. And I remember when I saw that, I was aware I've never seen camera movements like this. I had no idea. I think it won an Academy Award, a special Academy Award for the technology of however they created that. And now I notice, in that documentary style where the camera is moving and it makes you feel like you're watching a documentary. Yeah. Which I think gets overused sometimes too much. But I don't know why I brought that up. It was just, you were talking about camera moves and everything and things that have changed.
Yeah, I think that it's something, because I tend to fall in to an old Hollywood style of camera. Like whenever I think about things where as much as I love Tarantino and the stuff that he does, like, it's all wrapped in genre, and there's so much camera work that the camera draws attention to itself. And he's doing that on, for very specific reasons, and I appreciate it, but I tend to fall in that camp of the camera needs to be kind kind of transparent. Like, yeah, you're guiding, like as a director or board artist or whatever, you're guiding the viewer's attention where it needs to go. But at the same time, that kind of falls back to like whatever happens on screen. So the performance, the gag, this, that, or the other. But I think there are ways to do that where it is more subtle. And I don't think what we're seeing here is something that is supremely subtle, and I don't think it is just because of the lack of technology. I think that it is an intentional, like you were saying, it makes it funnier to have him just jump straight over here. You don't see it hooks up, which and that's why I thought it was interesting, because technically it does work. Like, there is a hookup. He runs, off screen, and then they reestablish. So everything is working technically there.
Right.
But to keep in the tone and the tempo, like you're saying, to have him immediately in that pose works. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of moving pieces that are going on here. But
I agree. I mean, we go from that to this. I never thought about it before, but it is funnier. He's already established. It's also writing character with Bugs, right?
Yeah.
There he is with the match. He knows what he's doing way before any of us knows what he's doing, because that's how slick Bugs is. Great pose too, and attitude.
Oh yeah, he looks so confident.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'd never really thought about that, because he's 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's off in like 5 frames, and then a little bit of kick there, just right. Him struggling to get in there.
What did he think he was gonna do? What?
Who, you mean Yosemite? What was he thinking? That's why he's a moron. Look at that. They put up. I didn't even think about this. Look at this. We're looking at these 2 scenes. Puts it up there. We don't even see the fuse ignite. You didn't even touch it. And the next shot, just great tempo, great cutting, great tempo in it.